With the recent introduction of rank systems coming in patch 0.49, I'm sure there are many of us out there who want to get better at Valorant but do not have access or time to get in those hours. The game hasn't even come out yet, and yet some may feel like they're already behind the curve. We're trying to compete with people who play this game 16 hours per day, and unless money is not a problem for you, then we all have our own commitments that we need to invest time into. Sometimes we get home from whatever we need to do during the day and are extremely exhausted or may not have the energy to put up with the mental taxation of the game. Or maybe we do have the energy but you simply don't have access to the game. There's also a really heavy emphasis on improving your technical skills in the game, such as aim, game sense, map knowledge, holding angles, etc. These are without a doubt valuable concepts to learn and master over time, but that's fairly obvious as we of course want to improve at these things. However, my job today is not to tell you how to improve on these things, as that's rather intuitive. I want to tell you about things that are underutilized within this game and can improve your play without even realizing it. Many players tunnel only on getting better through the game itself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in itself, but there are plenty of things that we can do with our lives outside of the game that we can potentially use to improve at the game, to make sure we play at our best, improve, and be in the right mindset. These things are all incredibly important for not only improving your play, but these can also enhance other components of your life and overall enhance your quality of life. If you are truly committed to improving at the game, you need to fully commit to making these things constant habits within your life. There's good reason for why professional esports organizations fully invest into full staff to make sure that these players can play at their best, including things like nutritionists, esports psychologists, analysts, mental coaches, and even physical coaches to an extent. People are realizing that in order to maximize their chances of victory, they need to make sure that these players are in the right environment to truly learn and thrive. If you're watching this, you may or may not be at that level, but that's why I want to go through some of these things so that you can do in your everyday life to help improve your play. I can also guarantee that you will be putting yourself at an advantage by following some of these tips because of how few people actually follow them. Many people don't realize or refuse to recognize the potential benefits of improving your life outside of the game itself and don't see how important your health and mindset are to improving the game. By recognizing your own mistakes and objectively reviewing how you can improve, you will be already putting yourself on the path to be one of the best. I'd say the most applicable way in order to improve your game knowledge and skill in Valorant would be to watch videos or different content on it while you aren't able to be at home or able to play the game. I'm sure some of you already do this, and that's great. Whether this is at your school, job, commute, or otherwise, there's a lot of Valorant content coming out there and that will be available to you. All of it's quite useful as well. A lot of the time, the content is not only interesting but also very helpful in giving you a better read on the current meta, player mindset, game culture, or other topics that you can apply. For example, when I was commuting before quarantine, it would take me around 90 minutes to get to work, so I'd love to listen to some podcasts or preload some videos on my commute to work. For times when I'm in class, it's quite easy to pull up a previous VOD or stream. I like to even have entire Twitch VODs downloaded and potentially review how the meta was shifting or being built and what things to look out for. Another great source is Reddit because there's a multitude of interesting information which you can turn and apply to your own gameplay. Make sure that when you review this content to be actually consciously trying to learn the different concepts and attempting to retain all the information being processed to you. The goal here is to learn as much as possible while using the resources you have, so you need to make the most of your time here. I'm not trying to say that you can't enjoy what you're watching because that's also of course important, but also don't waste your time watching 10-hour Twitch VODs and coming out without any new concepts to apply when you're actually able to play. I definitely recommend taking notes if possible on what you think you need to improve on or potentially focus on when you play, and constantly keep track of differences in playstyles across different people and opinions. That way you'll be able to test different things out when you do get a chance to play and experiment with what works for you. Valorant is still incredibly new, so the meta can and will be shifting as people perceive different things. If you happen to have access to the game, this means that you have an even better opportunity to review what you could have done better by reviewing your own gameplay or seeking out professional coaching software such as OBS to get your replays. This does still mean that you can look back at your own VODs and see what mistakes you have made. Do try to approach your self-criticism as an objective and neutral point of view as possible, as this is very necessary to give yourself the best feedback possible in order to improve. A structure I like to follow when playing competitive titles is reference from the Champion's Mind, which is a book all about getting into the right mental state when trying to improve at sport, and whose topics are very much transferable into esports. This model that I follow is called Good, Better, Best. It means that every day at practice and review, you look at what you did good, what you could have done better, and what changes you're going to make to be at your best. I find that this is a great model to follow as it actively tracks what progress you are making in your skills, but both crediting what you did well and giving yourself good feedback on what needs to improve. There are cases of people that fall too much on either side of the spectrum and are either too cocky and don't realize these many mistakes that they make, or are too harsh on themselves and lose confidence because they only focus on the mistakes they make. Both of these are bad for your performance and can hinder your improvement, so I highly recommend remaining as neutral as possible and purely look at how you can improve. In addition to simply expanding your game knowledge, there are other more subtle things you can do outside of the game to further try to optimize your performance when you do have time to play. What's great about some of these habits is that a lot of them are just universally beneficial for your life, so they'll provide benefits to you in all areas of life and not just in Valorant. These things include diet, exercise, things like staying hydrated, and most importantly, sleep. These aspects are all very important and it can legitimately improve your performance in the game and learning capacity by approximately 20 to 30%. I'll be making another video specifically detailing how and why building these habits can be so critical for you in game, but until then I'll be giving you a quick summary. Out of all of these, I would argue that sleep has the largest direct impact that you will see within your gameplay. The various benefits of sleep are absolutely miraculous and are key for you to be alert and awake in game. Yes, this means that you shouldn't keep playing until 4 AM just so you can win. Take the L and go to bed, and your body will thank you for it. Just to give some context on how powerful sleep is, sleep doctor and neuroscientist Matthew Walker states that sleep is the greatest legal performance enhancing drug that people are probably neglecting. Our brain also replays memory sequences we learn while awake, but 20 times faster than when we were asleep. A good quote to remember would be, "Practice does not make perfect, practice with a night of sleep makes perfect." You can come back the next day and you're 20 to 30% better at your skilled performance compared to at the end of your practice session the day before. Sleep also doesn't improve the places we're already good at in terms of motor skills, and sleep because it is intelligent. It finds friction points or motor skill deficits and smooths them out / improves them. This is very common with musicians. One day they aren't able to nail a piece, and then suddenly when they sleep on it, the next day they are able to. Also, during dream sleep, we take old information and combine it with new information we've learned and then form new connections / associations within our brain. For this reason, we might often find new solutions to previously unsolvable problems after a good night's sleep. So what I would recommend is to stop playing Valorant for at least an hour before going to bed, or if you're tilted and can't figure something out, sleeping on the issue and tackling it again the next day might be a great strategy for you. There also starts to be bad benefits when you sleep for less than 7 hours per night, so really take it seriously. Your body needs nutrients in order to perform well. There are many healthy foods that can promote brain function and many others that you need in order to supplement your overall health. If you want to play at your best, you need to feel and be at your best as well. There are micronutrients in foods that will help promote healthy brain function and development as well, such as salmon or blueberries. I'm not a doctor or nutritionist of any kind though, so you should really do some further research on this and adjust to your own dietary needs. However, I don't need to be a licensed professional to tell you that having a proper diet will provide you with the nutritional resources you need to improve your play. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but remaining hydrated is extremely crucial in order to maintain your physical and, more importantly, mental performance. Studies have shown that even a mild drop of 1 to 3% of hydration levels in your body can have adverse effects and impair your brain's functions, so you should constantly top yourself off in order to make sure that you're playing at your highest level. However, sometimes this does backfire because by drinking so much water, you can end up needing to pee more often, which ironically enough can distract people in game. Drinking caffeine can also work as it's a proven stimulant to improving mental function. However, you do end up building a tolerance to it over time, so I would recommend using it more in situations where you need to perform on that day. There are also good and bad sources of caffeine, as caffeine can come in many different forms, such as coffee, tea, energy drinks, in food, and even directly within pills. My personal favorite source would be from green tea, as it provides a more soothing energy boost than the sudden kick that a coffee would give you, but it also relaxes you and helps you focus in game. If you encounter a situation such as a tournament where you feel the need to perform at your absolute best, then I would recommend increasing your caffeine intake during that moment. Overall, as long as you drink enough water and use caffeine responsibly, I think you'll be putting yourself on the right track. Getting enough exercise will give you a multitude of general benefits and also aids in your mental fortitude. A lot of the pain and tolerance you build by working out or doing cardio gives you mental resilience that you can apply in your own games and in case games get tough or frustrating. Knowing the pain of physical training and then being able to be satisfied by struggling through it will serve as a good model for when you encounter similarly tough or frustrating times in game. Doing things like finger stretches and getting up and taking breaks between games is also crucial to healthy practice. Many players' careers end up getting ruined because they don't take better care of themselves. Exercising and stretching is also important simply for your own health and longevity, as there are way too many preventable cases of wrist and or back injuries due to poor posture or poor positioning. If you want to make your gaming a more sustainable hobby, you definitely need to be more conscious of how you're taking care of yourself. So Valorant can be a mentally taxing game to play, and it will only be a matter of time before things can get a little bit toxic. In the midst of all the potential toxicity and terrible behavior shown on the ladder in the future, it is especially important to keep your mental state in check and to stay grounded. There are many videos that focus on this topic specifically for ranked, so I'll try not to repeat that information, but here are some key takeaways. 1 is taking breaks when you're tilted or on a loss streak. A good rule of thumb would be 2 or more losses in a row, using the mute button and avoiding unnecessary contact, and trying to promote good communication and good vibes overall with your teammates. Some other important, more neglected aspects are thinking more about constant learning rather than focusing on your results, knowing that there is only so much that you can do in a game and that you should focus on yourself and what you can do better instead of others, and embracing failure when it does come. My favorite example of this in practice would be Mia Stelbert, who is an esports psychologist who's done work for teams such as Astralis in CSGO and OG in Dota 2, who have both improved dramatically after going under work with her, and also led to OG's consecutive victories at the International, which is the most prestigious tournament of all of Dota. Here she works with the players at these teams in order to make sure their mental state will not hinder their performance, ensuring that the players are consistently able to perform no matter the situation or amount of pressure that they are placed under. Of course, you're not going to be playing in the stadiums and whatnot if you're probably watching this. There's a bit of a difference in scale between those two scenarios. But I do want you to take the key takeaways from her impact and recognize the effect of having a good state of mental and how you approach the game. Another great example of this would be Reckless, who is a professional League of Legends player for Fnatic and plays AD carry. He emphasizes how over his years as a professional, it's become very apparent that it's less about how he moves his mouse and keyboard and how he approaches the game from a mental state. He's had times where he was so focused on improving and grinding and realized that was more than just putting in the countless amount of hours. These people are literally working in the professional scene and are saying that the mental state is important, so I definitely think that their advice should be taken seriously and applied in our own play. The mental state is also a huge concept, and I'd love to talk about it more in relation to esports, so please let me know if you would guys like to see it. Although this sounds counterintuitive, I believe that occasionally playing other games can actually be beneficial for you in your Valorant journey, not only as a way to take a break from the game, but in some cases to be able to build additional skills that you'll be able to bring back with you once you do get back on. Some examples would be CSGO. This is the older cousin for Valorant and is a great way to learn some of the fundamentals that Valorant applies even if you don't currently have access. Valorant is very similar to CSGO in a lot of different ways, so many major concepts will translate well. Things like peeking, movement, how to move together, how to play around sites, win conditions, so many things are incredibly similar between the two games. Before Valorant closed beta came out, I spent a decent amount of time actually going through CSGO videos to review these concepts and brush up on what I was missing, so this is probably my biggest recommendation. Playing other esport titles will help you build things like communication and teamwork, which can be applicable to no matter what game you're playing. You can also just play basic aim trainers in games like Osu to train your raw reaction time and mechanics. If you're extremely clean with your shots, you're able to single-handedly carry games in Valorant, so being good on a micro level will definitely pay dividends. This doesn't mean that games like CSGO or Valorant are only about aim, because that's kind of a overgeneralization of the skill sets required, but I don't think that good aim can really be a bad thing in these scenarios, so go crazy. I'm sure there's other games that you can play as well, but you kind of get the general consensus here. I do definitely think that there isn't a true substitute for simply playing Valorant itself, but these are some good suggestions to try and do when you're either tired of playing the same game or you can't play the game. If you find yourself struggling to get in the reps you need in order to be the best at Valorant, I would recommend trying to promote some of these habits in your own life so that when you do get the chance to play, you'll be making the most out of your time. These things aren't going to instantly turn you into a top tier player or anything like that, but with the correct application, I can guarantee that over time that you will improve and eventually see results. As you continue to learn more about the game, you will find that these concepts will help you a lot about your approach to improving, and you'll slowly continue to refine your play. If you ever forget any of these things or need a refresher, I definitely recommend coming back to this video to remind yourself of what you need to do.